Hello friends, welcome to my channel. Today, we're going to travel back to one of the greatest turning points in human history, an event that quietly shaped the world we live in today. If you enjoy history told like a story, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Now, let's slowly step back thousands of years into the past. Imagine a world with no buildings around you. No roads, no houses, no cities. Humans are right in the middle of nature. When they wake up in the morning, they don't know what they'll eat that day. If they can't hunt, they go hungry. If they can't find shelter, they freeze. This was life before settled living. For a very long time, humans lived as hunter-gatherers. They were always on the move. When food ran out in one area, they moved to another. This lifestyle was free, but it was also dangerous. Every single day was a fight to survive. Over time, humans began to observe their surroundings. More carefully, they watched nature. They noticed that seeds falling to the ground could grow into plants. They learned which animals appeared in certain seasons. And maybe without realizing it, they asked the question that would change history forever. What if I could control this myself? This was the first spark of settled life. Humans were no longer just taking from nature, they were beginning to shape it. The idea of farming forced people to stay in one place, because crops required patience and time. With the beginning of agriculture, humans no longer had to move constantly. Staying in one place meant becoming connected to the land. And this led to the first villages, small, simple settlements, but revolutionary for humanity. Settled life wasn't just about building houses. People could now store food, protect their belongings, and plan ahead. For the first time, the idea of tomorrow became truly important. But like every great change, settled life came with a cost. As people lived closer together, diseases began to spread. Sharing the same land and water created new problems. Freedom decreased, but security increased. With settled life came division of labor. Not everyone had to hunt anymore. Some became farmers. Some made tools. Others produced pottery. Human relationships grew more complex. Slowly, the foundations of society were formed. People were no longer thinking only about survival, but about living better. Homes improved, tools became more advanced, and the first forms of trade appeared. Surplus goods meant exchange, and exchange meant communication. Settled life also changed belief systems. As people became more dependent on nature, they tried to understand it. They prayed for rain, for fertile land, for good harvests. Gods were born, and the first temples were built. Leaders emerged during this time. Someone had to decide whose land was whose, and who owned what. Authority was born. Rules were created. Rules brought order but also inequality. People began to tell stories about their past. Symbols, drawings, and markings appeared. These were the early steps toward writing. For the first time, knowledge could be passed on permanently. Think about this. If humans had never settled down, would cities exist today? Schools, hospitals, technology? Maybe we would still be wandering in small groups, fully dependent on nature. Settled life didn't separate humans from nature, it tied them to it more deeply. The land was no longer just ground beneath their feet. It became the source of life itself. Soil became sacred. Over time, villages grew larger. Towns appeared, then cities. Cities gave birth to civilizations. Sumerians, Egyptians, Hittites, all of them were built on the foundation of settled life. Settled life also increased conflict. Wars over land began, because now there was something worth protecting. For the first time, humans said, "This is mine." Family structures changed as well. People living together strengthened their bonds. The idea of inheritance emerged. Humans began thinking seriously about future generations. The perception of time changed too. Seasons, planting periods, and harvest times became crucial. Calendars were created. Time was no longer abstract, could be measured. Many of the habits we have today come from this ancient transition. Going to work, returning home, belonging to a place, all of these are echoes of settled life. But here's the real question. Did settled life make humans happier, or just more organized? This question is still debated today. Some say settled life took away human freedom. Others believe it was the only path to civilization. Perhaps the truth lies somewhere in between. Thanks to settled life, science could develop. Humans finally had time to observe. Astronomy, mathematics, medicine, all of these grew from this stability. People began to think not just about today, but about centuries ahead. Massive structures were built: pyramids, temples, city walls. All were products of settled societies. If we live in houses today, eat at tables, and exist in cities, it all began thousands of years ago. Everything started with a single seed planted in the soil. The transition to settled life was one of the greatest steps in humanity's journey of self-discovery. As we changed nature, we also changed ourselves. And perhaps the most fascinating part is this: the decisions made back then still shape our lives today. History doesn't stay in the past, it lives with us. That's the story of the transition to settled life. Quiet, slow, but irreversible, a journey that defined humanity. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to like the video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video. Take care.